Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I want to show you how to use EQ on your MixBus. Continuing along with our MixBus processing here, we are looking at EQ today. But before we dive in, if you are ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and explore EQ on the MixBus. Before we dive into getting our EQ in here and doing our processing, let me play you where the mix currently stands. So far we've put 3 plugins on our MixBus, and that's the only plugins on our mix here. The rest of these tracks here, these are raw recorded tracks. We are just getting our mix going here by getting our MixBus processing in place. So we built our balance, got our console shaper in, got our MixBus compressor in, and we've got our tape machine on the MixBus as well. Next step here, if you need it, is EQ. I don't always throw EQ on the MixBus, but if I need it and I want to do a little bit of shaping on the MixBus, this is where I would throw it in after I got these 3 plugins in place. Let me play you what the mix is currently sounding like with just these 3 plugins here, and we will move forward from there. You can hear it's quite the difference, and our mix is already sounding really, really good with just 3 plugins on the MixBus here. And that's the idea. We want to get as close as possible to a finished sounding mix with as little as possible here on the MixBus. Now there's a couple ways that you can go about MixBus EQ. And I actually use both ways. There's not one way that I use. Depends on the track and depends what I want to get out of the MixBus here, out of the entire track. The first way would be putting the EQ before your MixBus compressor. The second way would be putting it after your MixBus compressor. And it depends what you want to get out of the mix. If you're looking to do a little bit more shaping, you want to put it before your MixBus compressor. If you're just looking to do maybe a little bit of low-end boosting, then I would say put it after your compressor. That's kind of like the Chris Lord-Alge style of idea, right? Where you have your MixBus compressor running into the Pultec where you're boosting low end, right? Let's start with before the MixBus compressor. So I'm going to pull in the stock EQ here from Studio One, and let's see what we can do to take our mix a little bit further just on the MixBus here with EQ. So, a couple things here to note. It's sounding a little thick in the low-mid area, so I might want to cut a little bit of that. I'm thinking about maybe putting a high-pass filter in just to control some of the low end there, and then we're definitely lacking some top end. But we can't go too far here on the MixBus because we are affecting the whole track here. Let's start by attacking the low-mid area, see if we can pull some of that heaviness out. Right there at about a dB down, a dB and a half down, that felt a dB and a half down felt a little bit too much. I don't want to thin it out too much here on the MixBus. A dB down feels pretty good to me. The next thing I'm looking at, because it feels like we pulled some energy out of the guitars here, is maybe adding some mid-range to make sure our guitars still feel just as powerful. So somewhere in here, 1 to 2K. Let's see if we can make sure our guitars are still sounding good. Again, another dB boost, so small boosts here go a long way on the MixBus because you have to keep in mind we are affecting the entire track here. And these kind of compensate each other, right? We cut a dB here in the low mid area to take out some heaviness, take out some thickness. And then we add a dB in the mid range to make sure our guitars still sit where we need them to in the mix. Now, I want to throw a high pass filter in and see what we can get out of this. I don't want to ruin our low end, but let's see if we can tighten it up. No, that's not working for me. It feels like we're neutering our low end there. So we're going to skip that. Let's move to our top end here. We're definitely lacking some top end in the track, but I don't want to pull too much here up here on just the MixBus because, again, we're affecting everything here. So let's kick up maybe some of this 8K, 6, 7K area and see what we can get with our track. That right there is feeling really good to me. So we've got one cut there in the low mid area and then a couple boosts to kind of balance out our track here. So I've added this boost here up at 8K, just about a dB there at 8K, and gives us that nice air that we need to help our track feel a little bit more balanced frequency-wise. We were definitely lacking some top end. I don't want to boost too much here on just the MixBus because we don't need so much top end on our electric guitars. Those can get very harsh if we're boosting this 8K area. And then I added just a half dB boost at 80 hertz here. Definitely helped to beef up the kick drum a little bit. Let's flip back to stereo now and I'll AB the EQ one more time. Not a huge difference here, doing subtle moves, but it definitely cleans up the mix a little bit. You can hear some of that muddiness in the low mid area dissipates. Our guitars get a little bit crisper here from our mid-range boost and our top end boost. We get some air, and our kick drum gets that extra bump in the low end to feel that much more powerful. Nice moves here on this EQ, and the nice thing about adding EQ is that you don't have to go back and redo your balances. A lot of these other elements we added, right, the console shaper, the compressor, In the tape machine, you want to make sure it's working with your track. Putting the EQ in, we're sculpting our track, so it's already working with our track. This is the first way we can do it here, is before the MixBus compressor. The other way we could do it is by going after our MixBus compressor. And what I like to do is use the EQ here right inside of the fat channel following the compressor. And I like to reach for kind of that Chris Lord-Alge style thing, right, where you pull in the Pultec. And we'll go at 60, and we'll go at 8K here. And we'll boost these up a little bit and see what we can get. So bear in mind now, this is after our compressor, so just pushing into our tape machine here. And this is nice because we'll get a little bit of analog vibe just from using this plugin here. So no more EQ before our compressor, just after our compressor here. We're going to pull up some low end there for our kick drum, pull up some top end to get some air, and we'll experiment with the top end and the low end, the frequencies as well. That's feeling good there for me. Let's flip back to stereo here and tweak it one more time. Make sure we're sitting where we want. This EQ of Pultec can get pretty wild here. You can see we're doing 0.1 boost down here at 60 hertz, and it's quite a bit of low end. Really makes our track feel big and powerful. While up at the top, it's not quite so dramatic with the little bumps, the little boosts here. So we're up at 0.5. Maybe we'll go a little further. Maybe we'll pull it back a little bit. Let's flip to stereo, tweak it one more time. That feels really, really nice. I pulled the top end boost back just a touch. It was getting slightly harsh up on the top end for our electric guitars. Other than that, this is feeling really, really good. So let me A-B this now, and we'll flip back and we'll throw the other one in as well. We'll A-B both of them. So we'll start with this one. So this is the passive or the Pultec style EQ, and then we'll flip over and we'll put the other one back in and A-B that one. For this particular track, I'm really digging the EQ being before the compressor. It just feels better to me. It definitely controls the kick drum and the bass guitar, the low end, a little bit better. And I like that. This feels too big to me at the moment, being after the compressor, being that boost there at 60 hertz on the low end. But it's a nice vibe. It definitely works on a lot of mixes. You can go either way with this. So this is your preference here when you're throwing EQ in on your MixBus. Definitely try both. Try it beforehand, try doing your shaping beforehand, and then try doing some of that boosting with a more vintage style EQ after your compressor. See if you like that bigger vibe there. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It's my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.